All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And this is going to be jam-packed. I'm saving the best for last. Yes, that is a teaser. And it's been 3 days, but I'm still gonna try to keep it to 30 minutes. Okay, so you should go to the blog. The blog is myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. And I'm going to go over the headlines, but a lot of these articles have good information in them, and you should go and read them. And I make it easy. Well, on some of them, I bold the parts that I think are important from my perspective and what I look at, which is the money, right? So, whatever. But yeah, um, you can share. Well, yeah, you might want to. So, but I'm not just trying to tease you. The reason I have the last, actually, I think it's the second to the last article, is so for people who don't want to search through, they just want to go right to the one article. They may want to copy and paste or whatever. I try to put that at the very bottom, but there was one article that slipped in right before I started recording, so I think that's the last one. But anyway, all right, so let me just say, wherever you are enjoying this content, look for like a open more info, intro, description, something of that nature button. If you click on that button, the box opens and it has a link to the blog, because I know myfxbuddies.blogspot.com is a lot to type in or whatever, right? So yeah. All right. And RSS.com is back up, but I don't that's where the transcript is. And actually, they're the last one that I upload. So, yeah, give me time for that. The today is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. It's early enough. Oh, I don't know. It may not be. I'm going to try to upload it so it will come on, it will still show January 15th. So what else? Rumble. Hey, Rumblers. Thank you, new subscribers. My FX Buddies there. What else? Spotify.com. They have audio and video content. My FX Buddies. Apple Podcasts. My FX Buddies. Everywhere. I just go. My FX Buddies. All right. So we'll get into it. The title of this is from today. But then after, I'm going to go in 13th, 14th, and 15th order. Okay. But because it had a picture. Uh-oh. And there it is. Okay. All right. But anyway, so the budget, the third budget reading, so they could possibly read it for the third time and vote, has been scheduled for Sunday. It's right here on the schedule. It's the second item, which is great because remember I was saying when they put it down at the end, there's other things in front of it that could possibly, they could start fighting or whatever, and then they won't get to it. But it's the second item, so hopefully we'll see. But yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna, well, something has come about, and while there's going to be good stuff in this, there's negative. There's discussion of the budget schedules. Hurry up and send the budget schedules. So I'm thinking the budget schedules are a separate thing that need to be voted on. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to show you why. You'll see here with the articles, okay? But for now, the good thing to focus on is Sunday, and the hours are 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we shall see. All right. So, oh, wow. Well, here's my one commercial, but I usually put it down further. I don't know why it's there. You know what? I might have put it twice. But anyway, I'll delete one. If I put it twice, I'll delete one anyway. You can support me by buying me a coffee. The link is here in the wording. And then there's a QR code for those who like QR codes. Okay, so going back to January 13th, um, they had, so they were still talking about banking reforms enhance Iraq's global financial standing. But this article is Jamal Cougar. That's my phone. All right. Um, and he says something no one else said. See here? Let me click there. Okay. Reforming banks will lead to their development in line with the conditions of the U.S. Federal Reserve and the SWIFT system, in addition to many international requirements that will contribute to improving the performance of the Iraqi financial sector at the global level. All right. And Jamal Cougar, he once was the head of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. Now he's just a member, but he's been around for a while. They still interview him pretty regularly. So, yeah. Okay, so they made a new bank, right? Birth of a new bank. I think that was one of the title headlines of an article. But somewhere in here there's a nice little bullet point. No. Well, anyway, so Ernst & Young. So Sudani, now remember, this is the 13th of January, 3 days ago. 15, yeah. He had a meeting and they talked about the status of restructuring the state-owned banks. So what they decided to call the bank was First Rafadan. Here, we're going to skip this article anyway. Oh, shoot. Maybe it's not here. Well, anyway, they're going to call it First Rafadan Bank. So I'm like, that was real original. And then they're also going to update, they're going to do Rashid Bank, and they're going to do the real estate bank and the agricultural bank. But most importantly, all of these will adhere to international standards, comprehensive technical and administrative reforms. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, that even goes back to Shabibi. Shabibi used to talk about we have to reform our banks. So we really are getting towards the end, you guys. I mean, I think. All right, so let's see. Now, this is just more members. Now, this is an independent member of parliament. So generally, they're younger also. And he says there's deliberate keeping parliament paralyzed, killing oversight performance. So he pointed out things, he didn't name any names, but he pointed out, they're doing this on purpose just to kill oversight and to slow things up. So we have to pray for him that he doesn't disappear. Back in the day, he would have been disappeared, but now they're more transparent, and that's my phone. Okay, so this is a pretty big deal. They had their first meeting. Fuad Hussein, the foreign minister, he was in New York to assume presidency of this group that's called the G77, So Group of 77 and China. And it's one of those organizations where a representative from each country is president for a year, and they just happen to pick Iraq for 2025, right? So yeah, so it was interesting to watch that. Um, Fawad Hussein's been in government for a long time, and they're just they him and Antonio Gutierrez, who's like the general secretary or whatever of the United Nations, blah blah blah, right? They were just laughing and having a good old time. So I thought that was interesting. So what is the first thing Fuad Hussein says? We have to stop the aggression by the Zionist entity. Oh yeah, and we gotta take care of Syria too. But that was the first thing, and it shouldn't be a surprise. But I just thought it was interesting. And so, for those who are wondering, yes, the budget has been read the second time. Well, the budget amendments. The budget is done, right? The the amendments to the budget, they've been read two times, and Sunday will be the third. And I'm just gonna say, and the vote. Then it goes into the Gazette, right? And no. Matter of fact, it goes to the president of the country, and he has 15 days to sign it. Hopefully, he won't take the 15 days. But, so, we still got time. All right, birth of a new bank. Here it is. Cabinet on banking reforms. Geez, everything is dinging and ringing. Okay, birth of a new bank. Cabinet votes on banking reforms. And I had to learn some new terms. New joint stock company bank. There it is. The bank was named First Ramadan Bank. They talk about how much capital, 500 billion dinars. That no less than, actually, I think it's going to be a trillion. And then here's the other, a trillion dinars. Industrial bank, real estate bank, and the agricultural bank. Those are the next to be redone. Let's see, the 14th. Okay, so now these articles that I'm going to talk about are from the 14th of January. A 2020. Among the priorities of the 2025 budget are securing salaries and governing expenses. Okay, something's going on. They're not telling the truth. Surprise, surprise, right? The citizens are complaining about prices going up of goods, right? Not the dollar exchange rate, because they've been keeping the parallel market. Well, what they put out, right? They post it 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and closing in the evening. And they've been keeping it stable. They've been making it appear to be stable. So it's been about 1,500. Occasionally, you'll see one that's like 14.97. So that means 1,497 dinars per dollar. And it doesn't go above 1520. But yesterday, there were a group of truckers who stopped in front of the Basra Oil Company to stop traffic, protesting because they want their back pay. They're owed 4 months of payment. So that was their way of protesting. They just stopped their trucks. I don't know how long it was, but that's what they did. It said to bring attention to wanting 4 months of back pay that's owed to them. So now that was one group, right? That was one group. I don't have an article for it. But today, I think there's an article in here on the 15th that's going to show that. Okay. So, and there's going to be something else coming up about the prices. So, but there was something here. Oh, they brought, um, they did have some of the ministers of some of the ministries came before them to talk. And that's what this is about. But I thought this was funny. I think this is here. The main goal of the 3-year budget was to solve the financing problems, but the condition of the availability of financial liquidity before contracting returned us to square one. And so in another version, it says the 3-year budget was supposed to keep us from having these issues. But here we are, we're still delaying the budget and delaying payments. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, so this has a lot of detail, especially in this longer paragraph, but we don't have time to cover it. Okay, here's an article about the T-Man, which I'm not going to go over because, the various platforms don't like when you talk about him. Either way, if it's negative or positive, things happen. Anyway, but yeah, but this is Nabil Marsumi, and he's saying that the T-Man will not punish Iraq's oil, or I know it says but I think it should be, if you read this article, you'll see it should say or reduce the dinar, but he will secure salaries. But there's a black eye from his last time that he was in, right? So if you want to read that, it's pretty good. See here. Here it is. There is no such thing in public finance as a 3-year budget. Rather, there's an annual budget rule, and this is applied globally. However, they came up with the 3-year budget, although it did not differ at all from the annual budget because it is also delayed. So yeah. All right. This one, there was some kind of what is it? Conference again where they talked about the Securities Commission and the ISX, and there was something new here. Oh, he's requesting that they pass this law. We hope the Finance Committee will help pass the law of securities commissions. Yeah, so they need that. That will just bolster more confidence in the ISX, and I'm sure there's some protection in there for investors, domestic and international. All right, let's see. Economists. So here, Mustafa Hantouche, he describes the establishment of the first Ramadan Bank as an excellent step. And then there's some more information. Oh, here's the bullet point. So and in this case, even I understand the bullet point structure more than the articles about it. So this is, oh, look at the time, and we're not even halfway through. All right. Iraqis create opportunities from challenges. This is Samir al-Nusari. This is another good article, but there was one little part. He's talking about the good things that they're doing. Transitioning from a cash, well, this is not good, but transitioning from a cash economy to a digital economy, and work is escalating in the field of activating and diversifying sources of national income and revolutionizing economic sectors other than oil, which is what the IMF and the World Bank want Iraq to do. So he closes out with the Iraqi economy is moving from fragility to recovery. And this also confirms that Iraqis create opportunities from challenges. So I thought that was really nice. And like I said, there's other things in there. You may want to read that. So Sudani is in Britain. He's been there, I think, all week. Oh, maybe Tuesday. Maybe Tuesday he got there. But he's met with all kinds of people, almost the extent of when he came here last year in April. And he met with all these companies and they signed memorandums of understanding. So here he is with Charles the third. Is he the third? Yeah, see? Charles the third. Yeah, I'm leaving that word out because he ain't my king. There's only one king in my opinion. And trust me, he ain't it. But yeah, so they were very proud of that. They ran that on the TV. Oh, look. Anyway, I'm looking at their news. Okay, so I'm waiting. Rather than post everything, I'm just going to wait for them. You know how they post. Sudani was in Britain, and these are all the meetings he attended, right? I'm waiting for that list to come out. But he's, as of right now, he's still over there. He's still in Britain. So maybe it'll be Friday when I get that list. I don't know. I don't see anywhere in writing when he's due to return back to Baghdad. All right. Iraq faces economic collapse without reforms. Former minister warns. And I think, is this the, yeah, former electricity minister. He's also the one who was like, look, you guys need to just go on and start talking to the T-man. You know, he's a contract man. He's going to want to make changes. So just start talking to him now. Remember that? So this is the same guy. And now he's saying, if you don't, oh, okay. Sorry. I had a thought. If you continue to draw on cash reserves amid fluctuating or falling oil prices, the value of the local currency could collapse. So, remember when I said if they don't change the rate by the 10th, things are going to happen. Well, things are starting to happen. Here we are on the 15th, and there's been those demonstrations which are about money. They're not about jobs. They're about back dues. Oh, come on. Let's see. So here's another article about a meeting he took in Britain. Okay, here's one of the things that's making me think the budget tables are something else that has to be voted on. A member of parliament called on the government to expedite sending the budget tables. Why do they need to go to parliament? And if they don't need to be voted on, why do they need to go to the House of Representatives? Okay, we know why they haven't gone. Because Sudani is only sending them what they need to see when they need to see it, so they don't manipulate it. Yeah, so nothing's going to happen with these budget schedules until Sudani gets back. But he reminded them the government is required to strengthen the economic situation, avoid financial crisis, as well as control the dollar file, which has been witnessing instability for months. So this guy, he's saying, hey, the parallel market, right, because the CBI, they never changed the rate. It's been not stable for months. So he stressed they need to speed up sending the budget tables to the House of Representatives for discussing and voting in a way that guarantees social justice, especially for all Iraqi governance in general, and the center and south in particular. So we're seeing them start to focus on the central Iraq and southern Iraq, which who else focused on that? Sudani. Remember, he said by July, I want the whole country to have the same banking services and ATMs as Baghdad and Kurdistan, right? So I thought that was interesting. Um, Here's a company that they licensed for exchange. The CBI did. We don't have time to go over it, but it's different. This is being labeled a private joint stock exchange company. So if you want to read that, then they did another one today that's even different. So it's interesting. They're having all these different types of businesses, companies, whatever, to do different functions. Okay, so here I just gonna go over this briefly. Sudani, no, not Sudani. This is the Deputy Prime Minister. He met with some of the banking companies, and you can read that. Business Group, British Foundation. There's one other one. But anyway, and these memorandums of understanding are valid for 5 years. And they're going to, here's the other one, British Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. They're going to finance a number of vital projects for the Iraqi government. All right. So like I said, there's lots of meetings going on. Lots of promises for investment and everything. But you know, Iraq has to do their part. Okay, there was a lot of news about Kurdistan, but you know, I don't it we really don't need to follow it because the bottom line is they still haven't done the oil and gas law. But I will say this lady right here, Victoria Taylor, she did meet with Kurdistan also before Sudani left to Britain. She met with him, and then when she's done in Kurdistan, she's going to Syria. So I'm sure she has some messages that she'll be taking along the way. I thought this was interesting. This is the Iranian president, and he was interviewed by NBC. And they're very vocal now. They're saying, we want to meet with the T-man face to face. And he says, and I will negotiate with him, but he has to promise to keep his word. And also, this is actually a good article. You should read it. But they deny having any hand in the assassination attempts. Plan, loading. All right. Okay, yeah. So, oh, you know what? I put that there twice, so I could delete that. Here, I was going to make the title of the blog, but there was no image. Advisor to the Prime Minister, Iraq is witnessing an expected investment boom in 2025. Everything in this article is good. And it is Mohammed Saleh, right? And they let him make really great announcements. So I like this. He says, the Iraqi economy will witness a high investment boom in 2025 thanks to the economic accelerator factor. What is that? In the investment field, in addition to the high positive growth effects of national income in 2024. So, all right, we just have a little bit more. I tried to keep it at 30 minutes, but okay, let's see. Iraq and strengthening power centers in the region. This is another good article giving them recognition of their power players again. They're the ones in the middle of mediating everything. It goes through Iraq. Okay, let's see. My mouse is tripping. All right. Oh, we can skip that. The World Bank. Look at that. Parliament conforms to World Bank. Did I say these are today's articles? We're on the 15th. So we're almost done. Parliament conforms to World Bank on the importance of government infrastructure in development. So you can read that. The infrastructure of the development road should be in the hands of government so that this important project that links Iraq to the countries of the world is not subject to influences. And there was some talk about them handing that over to someone else. I think us. But they really should be involved. So that's what that's talking about. You could read that. And there's more that I highlighted also. So here, this guy, he's the Securities Commission guy. And here's that article I was talking about that he once passed. Shell Oil Company announces its readiness to increase its investments in Iraq. So, and that was just one company. Now, this is really good. You should really read this. He speaks mostly for the central and southern part of Iraq. This guy here, Ziad Hashimi, he presented, they're saying, a pessimistic view of Sudani going to Britain. He's like, they're colonizers. Why are you going over to the colonizers, right? But he says, our money's gonna save them. We're saving them. He's going to inject huge Iraqi funds into the British economy, which is a boost to a weak economy suffering from deterioration. So he's like, make sure you negotiate well. We're the ones helping them. They need us. We don't need them. So I thought that was interesting. All right, here we go. Member of Parliament denies the rise in food prices and says markets are stable. So you know when they have someone from the government come out and say, no, there's no problem. These prices have always been the same and everything's stable. You know they're lying, right? So couple this with the citizens complaining. They even had a video. They were walking through the market. It's empty. One marketplace. It's empty and they're talking to the merchants. And even though I don't know what they're saying, you can tell they're complaining and they're like, look, we have all this inventory, right? The shelves are full of everything. Clothes, food, spices, just whatever you can think of. Whatever you can think of, it's there, it's available, but there's no buyers. And guess what? Ramadan's coming. February 28th is Ramadan. So, they don't do things during Ramadan. So, February 28th through March 30th. Now, that is in Iraq. Don't correct me. Well, Saudi Arabia says, yeah, because Saudi Arabia does a different time. They go by the angle of the moon. That's what they do. See right here, it says, the rise in food prices affects the movement of markets in Iraq, as well as the degree of citizens' readiness for the holy month of Ramadan in the coming days. So, and imagine that. Here's a new definition for the coming days. That's more than a month away, right? February 28th is more than a month away, but they're saying in the coming days. But so the Muslim countries, they have to see the moon has to be a crescent moon and it has to be at an angle of blah, blah, blah. And that's when they determine their Ramadan start date. So Iran could have a different date. Saudi Arabia usually has a different start date. I'm strictly talking about Iraq. And so what if it's off a day or two? Okay? Don't, there's, it's a distraction. Those are some things people get so uptight and you're wrong. You said it was so and so date. So what? I'm just pointing out Ramadan's coming. It's 30 days plus another 3-day holiday after that. And we know they don't do anything during Ramadan. They're not going to do, in my opinion, they won't do a rate change during Ramadan. But anyway, so also citizens suffer from the consequences of the dinar exchange rate crisis against the dollar. So here they are saying when there's higher prices, it affects the value of the dinar. So I feel they're hiding the issues of the higher rate, the higher prices. And as time goes on, it's going to get louder and louder. Louder. Okay, here's another Sudani. Here's a statement he made while he's over in Britain. Iraq is among the most attractive countries for investment during the past 2 years. Here's an article about the oil and gas law. So they're talking about it, they're just not taking action. And here, failure to fund the governance is a clear violation of the budget law. If you read this, they again talk about a dollar crisis. And here is this person, he's a member of parliament, pointing out he followed demonstrations organized by groups of contractors and company owners from various governments. That's more than one city. To demand the accumulated funds in exchange for completing their projects. So this is multiple contractors and companies in multiple cities complaining and demanding to get paid. But there's no liquidity crisis, right? There's no dollar crisis. Why aren't they paying these people? All right. And there's more to that. Okay. That's a good article, but we don't have time. Here's the one. The one that I told you it's worth the wait. Oh, come on. Control F. Forex. All right. Is that the one with the guy there? Oh, no. Well, anyway, let me see. We're skipping him. Okay, so it's after. It's after this one. But this is good. This is saying Iraq is no longer on Britain's red list, which is why they're working with him. Okay. Central bank closing the electronic platform enhances financial stability. We know that, right? This is a compilation of 3 different economists. Matter of fact, I think they even quote Muhammad Saleh. But here's the best part. This is Mustafa Hantoush, and I believe he was on TV talking about this also. He was on TV, right? I watched him, but it's all in Arabic, and there's nothing, not even the title of the show was in English, okay? So he talks about what they just did, getting off the other auction system and what they're on. But look at that word right there, Forex. So let me just read this to you. He also suggested the possibility of transferring the dollar to trading platforms in the stock market to be sold to those entitled to it through direct transactions instead of sending the dollar exclusively to banks, stressing the need to organize these operations by switching to the Forex market and implementing mechanisms that ensure that funds are not transferred until the goods arrive with the bank's guarantee. I have never seen that in writing. In fact, the last thing that we saw from the CBI was a warning: don't trade on Forex. Don't trade crypto. Don't trade on Forex. We don't sponsor it. We don't license anything. So they talked real bad about it. And here he is saying, you could get more done if you would also, in addition to what you just did, put some of these transactions on the Forex market. So I think that's very encouraging. And like I said, that's the second to the last article. This last one, I was very surprised by it. It says, Washington urges Iraqi parliament to speed up approval of the federal budget. And, it's in Kuwait. I put Kurdish news. It's in Kuwait's news. So what is Kuwait doing monitoring the Iraqi budget? Very interesting. So I'm going to correct that and put Kuwait, which incidentally, Kuwait just gave them $800,000, I think, to open it to do a solar project. So, maybe they are watching them. I mean, I'm being facetious. Of course they're watching them, right? Because they're highly invested in them. But anyway, yeah, so that's it. Really good 3 days. Well, except those other things, which hopefully they won't be anything. I really apologize for the length of this. Sorry, and look, I still cut out quite a bit, but it's really good. Hang in there. I know we're halfway through. Well, tomorrow will be halfway through January, and we're still waiting. But Monday is the switchover, right, between administrations. Excuse me. And what have I said? If it's not done by the time they switch over, then we're going to be here till June. And I hope I'm wrong, but especially throw in 30 days of Ramadan plus the 3-day holiday after. So be prepared. Be prepared to be here. There's lots of fear mongering that things are going to be bad and martial law and all of this. I don't believe that. I do think things are going to get bad. And I'm really hoping they'll come out and tell the real economic numbers, because the unemployment is false. Even the inflation numbers. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that here. Okay, and the very, very, very good news is the ceasefire, right? So there's lots of good things happening. And actually, I think the citizens complaining about prices and these groups that are demonstrating for their back pay, I think that's good because it puts pressure on the government, even though they still need a pushing from us, right? So, yeah, so hang in there. I will try not to go this long again. So today is Wednesday. Yeah, so Friday I'll do a posting. So again, I apologize. Thank you if you stayed all the way through. But wasn't it worth it? So we got the one guy saying they're compliant with SWIFT, and we got this guy telling them, hey, you need to start working with Forex. So I like it. All right. Accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals. Pay all your bills. If there's a like, subscribe, join, follow button wherever you are enjoying this content, please activate it. because I don't post regularly. So when I do post, if all things work like they're supposed to, you'll be notified. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you're enjoying this content. And thank you until next time.